Hello, welcome back. I am Ren. I'm a technical designer at UX is Fine, and today we are working on a game jam, third episode of this. We started off with game design and we produced this idea for several loops that you build on an island, leading to an outer loop that you do, and then it might continue from here or it might prestige, and there's a prestige loop where the resources that you gain get faster and faster, a little bit like those kind of idle clickers that we all know and love. But anyway, it's a chill game. It's a pretty chill game. It's using the artwork of Steven Colling on itch.io. If you're interested in checking that out, go check out Steven Colling. Colling. Really love this artwork. Got super inspired by it. The idea is it's a deck building, world building game. So every loop you're going to hopefully add cards to your deck that give you more like building options or level up your buildings and get more of these resources here, like wood, cabbages. My cabbages. Okay, cool. So welcome, and let's get started. Off cam, I fixed the tile setup. We can do it in two orientations. We can do it flat top, like so. And if we jump into F8, we can see we're nicely aligned. I've obviously crunched the textures down because there's going to be a lot of textures. I might not need to crunch them down as much. Sometimes if you click a little bit early at the moment, they overlap, but this clicking feature won't be part of the game. And the other thing that we can do is we can turn this to not flat top. And so now we're actually placing on a pointy top grid, which if we actually look back at our reference, we are pointy top. That is our design. We're going pointy top. And so the next thing that I'll be doing, so I can click that off on the hex grid snapping on the left here. Actually, my checklist isn't showing, is it? I have lost my scene. I've lost my scene controls. One sec. Sources. Checklist. Right, there we go. So on this checklist, we have hex grid snapping, right? We've got hex grid snapping. We can see that here. These ones on the floor here aren't snapped to the grid. They're placed manually by me. So the idea will be, I've placed one. This is orange, so this is the one that I can place on. I'm not allowed to place on these other ones. I need to somehow define that to the user a little bit better. But once you place here, the next one goes orange, next one, next one, next one. That's your first loop. And then you get your building options. So there's going to be a whole load of animation, a whole load of game state communication. There's just going to be so much stuff. But let's take off hex grid snapping after we take a look at the code changes. So this is where I was at before the break. Had some dinner, had a walk, had some good times. And now we can delete this code. So this was mostly correct, but what I've ended up doing now, and so I can get rid of all this, get rid of all this, get rid of all this. What I've done is I had to get ChatGPT to write the math function step by step because my bidmas is terrible and I need to go back to math school apparently, or I'm just tired. But I wasn't reading that. I knew that the divisions, multiplications, and additions needed to be done in a certain order, and I'm trying to translate it into here. I ended up getting it to write it just step by step, and that sorted the problem out. So now we just have our pointy top and our flat top, and we have this cube rounding function, which is how you get a hexagon lattice. So so that's cool. That's cool. Little function there. ChatGPT can do it. So that's cool. We've got a bunch of functions that are being used at the moment for testing. So for example, we've got this left mouse button here. I need to skip some adverts. Bam. We've got this left mouse button here. And this just at the moment, just spawns a tile. So that's cool. That's just like a little testing, just to see that we've got a nice working version of that. I'll be getting rid of that very soon. We have a little begin play that allows me to use this left mouse button by enabling the input on this actor, which is the town start actor, this actor in the middle here. That I may be getting rid of, I don't know yet. Technically, it's just the start point of the whole game, or of any particular town, so we'll see how that goes. Then we've got the flat top, so it's just determining what our original tile looks like. We're going pointy top for the rest of the game jam. Like that's the plan. We're going pointy top because that's what we did in our fig jam, right? So in our fig jam, we're pointy top here. So we're all the way on the left. We still haven't even finished this bit, but let's tick off hex grid snapping. We're happy with that. Ding! We have done hex grid snapping. That makes me happy because that took absolutely ages and way longer than it needed to. I knew something was up with the math order. I was right. It took a little bit more time. Took it a little bit slower. A little bit less stress off stream. Got it working. So that's good. Let's get with this UI for naming this stuff. We can do that later. Let's get the MVP, which is we need our first town tile, basically. And for that, we are going to, in the begin play of the town. For now, we're always going to be pointy top, so I'm not going to worry too much about the materials. But basically, we're going to set a texture param. Okay, we're going to get the dynamic material. Okay, we're not going to do that. Get dynamic material. Why is it treating this like a widget? Okay, we'll create a dynamic material instance from the pointy top down, because that's the one that controls that. And we will promote the store variable mid underscore tile. So material instance dynamic tile. And we will set texture dynamic or set texture parameter value. And we'll get this from an array. This will be a random. Plug that in there. Oops. Random array item for now. We'll define these tiles through data later. So I'll put a little to do on here. To do data. But these are our start textures. And so I'll just add 3 of these to express this idea. So we've got pointy city, basically. We've got some city tiles here. What I'm going to do is go to the tiles here and just type in pointy. And that's just going to give us a load of options. And so I'll take this city dense as well. That looks fun. We've got some deserts, I guess, which we're not going to use right now. So let's just go with, I mean, these are all the pointy ones. We've got forests. We've got mountains. Start on a mountain. We are not allowed to start on a mountain, guys. That's not going to work. We'll have one where we just start in some fields. Let's go with that. I mean, it's not going to make sense, but that's fine. It's a start. It's a start. We also need to produce this like this ghosts item. Anyway, let's get rid of all these extra assets. When we begin play now, we should get a random material. Which is absolutely 100% not the case and not happening at all, and we don't know why. So I'll be surprised if this didn't actually update. Set material. It would help if I told this to be texture. And then double check that that is the title. Texture. It is the title. Start textures. 3 textures. Random. Set the texture parameter value on the material parameter. Is it because we're changing the mesh? It is. It is not. It is not that. Also, this town is. Is this town currently following my mouse? It is currently following my mouse. I don't really want that to happen. Let's go look in the outline and make sure we don't have any extra stuff lying around. Okay, we do have this hex flat top. Let's get rid of that. Okay, there we go. So I had some overlapping elements. Okay, so we got a random town. That's good. Let's get rid of our debug arrow for now. Just delete it. Okay, this is the start of the game. We have the start of the game done. Cool. Start tile. Let's do the ghosts that surround that tile. The way that works is I want the player to have to click on this actor. So I could enable click events in the game. I could enable click events. There'll also be like event touch. Event begin input touch. Event begin input click would also begin, would be good. Cursor over. Event on actor clicked. Okay, cool. So we got these 2 events. The reason I want input touch on this is because I do want to go to mobile later. But I'll just leave it as like, you know, another to-do mobile. One day. We're not going to do it for the jam, but that's okay. Event actor on clicked. What we need to do is make sure that in our core assets, our player controller is capable of clicking stuff. Enable click events here. So I'm just going to put a print string in here. Hello. Click. Okay, cool. So we get a hello. That's cool. That's going to change the state of the game to the next state, or at least the state of this particular town. I need to decide where I'm going to store all my game states. So, for example, we have the start of a new island. We have the location selection. We have the state where we're placing tiles. We have the state where we're placing buildings. We have another stage 2, basically. Stage 3, stage 4, stage 5. You know, there's loads of stages. There's a complete stage, and then there's like a zoom out. It would be nice to hold all this information in a place that's accessible from other places so that UI can react to it, so that music can react to it. Typically, I would do this in the game state because, as the name suggests, that's where you would store some game state stuff. So in our core, I'm going to hold a new blueprint enum. It's called e underscore I call this call it world state, I guess. So in the world, we have a couple of states. We've got start or new tile. We've got essentially we've got place tile, place structure. Should we call this place terrain. What I want to do is have new tile state, click, nice animation, place terrain is the next step, which is when you get your cards pop up. Then place structure. So in our game design, actually, I am going to say that a lot of this is actually on here as well. So what I'm alluding to now here is that after you've placed that first tile, you get this orange element telling you where you can place next. Quick little design change there, or the clarification from myself. So we have new tile, place terrain. Call this new town. New town. Place terrain, place structure. What I want to avoid is saying place terrain to place structure to, because what that then sort of suggests is that it'll only ever be 2. What if I want it to be 3 eventually? A little configurable variable. I don't want to hard cap count-based things into my enum. That would not be a good look. So we will literally have, you've got your new town stage, you've got your stage where you've got cards on screen, you've got your stage where you're placing structures. Anytime you place a structure, you're going to get this pop-up, so that's not technically a state, like you're still in this particular screen. You've got your town complete state, and then you've got your world map state. So this is the world map state where you can pick a new tile, and in some case, this is like if you're hovering this tile, it's going to tell you how much it costs to get it. And in some cases, at that moment, I think about this. Is the state verbose enough? I know that we're complete. We're going to play a nice animation and zoom out and see the world. We're going to see the tiles that we already had. This one's going to be lit. There's another time in which if we just scroll the zoom, we actually just zoom out. We need to be aware that the player can do that. And if they zoom out and I say, oh, you're in the world map now, how do I determine? So this is going to be I'm going to say this is the expand state, and zooming out to the world map is not a state that you're in the flow of the game. So I'm going to call this like enum underscore game flow, or round flow, or call it game loop, just to be on the nose about the Game Jam theme. So that's our game loop. We're going to store that I'll store it just like directly in our game state because this is just for this game. BP underscore game state underscore bound. And so in here we'll have that variable game loop. Where are we at in the game loop? Awesome. We'll have functions like set game loop, get game loop. Okay, so that's our little function for when we set the game loop. It triggers an event dispatcher, which will tell anything that's listening to update. So that sets us up with some flow state management, which I was going to do through the state tree, but I know that, and I know that that's fast, and I'm doing a games jam, so that's how I'm doing it. Now what we can do here is we can set what we can do is go BPFL bound, go to set game loop state, get game state, has to GS idle bound, and set the state. Set game loop in this case. Set game loop. So this will be new game loop. In here we'll have a return for success. So now we can call that from anywhere, which we're going to need to at some point. Set game loop state. Once you click that button, we're moving over to this new place terrain state. And as long as that was valid, we're going to need to get the 6 positions around this. And why? Sorry, this is annoying me. Oh my god, you returned. I have returned, and I have got the snapping working, which we'll see in a while, because first I'm doing game loop management. So at the moment we're at the stage where we've got like a random town, and yeah. So Bernardo, welcome back. We're gonna crack on. Right now I'm making the ghost tiles. So yeah, I need to get the 6 locations around this, which means we need a nice little function. I prompted GPT before the stream because I knew I would need it, so we're already part way there. I just said, I need a function that gives me if I give it a hex position and a ring distance, it just gives me the output rings positions, so I can spawn a bunch of assets in that ring. So I can say ring 1, ring 2, ring 3 if I want. And that's from a node. So what I can do with that is I can access or use those positions as ways to get the nearest tiles. I could also do a sphere overlap, but probably not going to have collisions on any of these tiles because it will make the game a lot cheaper to not have any physics overhead. Like there'll be no chaos, no physics or whatever overhead for the physics, because all the collisions for all the meshes will be turned off because I'm not tracing in this game. I tend to avoid line traces where I can. After working on a lot of shooter games, it's like I want to avoid using line traces wherever I can. Yes, hooray, hooray. It was just the case of exactly what I expected, which was I'm not translating this math correctly. The bidmus is wrong, and just trying to get GPT to spell it out to me in very plain language so that I could do it properly. And we got there. So anyway, we have this ring distance thing. Let's take a look. Cube coordinate. Why? Why cube? Axial to cube. Walk the 6 ring sides. Doesn't seem. Yeah, where's distance come into this? Multiplied by distance here. It did tell it. 1 is 6 tiles, 2 is 12 tiles. So I wonder what's going on there. It does have this int step. I'm really curious what it's going to give me here. Let's start writing this. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's start writing this out. I just gave it a quick read over, and I think the step distance is how it's respecting distance. And so if it's 1 distance, it's 6. If it's 2 distance, it's 12. And then this math changes based on the number of steps and the direction. So we've got the direction here. See, we're actually not taking into account step here, which makes me think it's just going to basically be like, I want a ring here. And then it's going to give me another ring, but it's basically going to give me one item here and one item here. So like 2 rings not on the grid. I'm going to ask it actually. Does this produce Well, no, I'm just going to make it. Am I going to just make it? Let's see the concept. Convert the clicked hex well position to cube coordinates for a ring. Start at a known direction and walk ring distance steps in each of the 6 directions, forming a hexagon ring. Convert each cube coordinate back to world position. This won't create a... So this will work for ring 1, but for ring 2, I would like the output to give me 12 output locations that are the hexagons after the first 6 in the first ring, i.e. I'll just say refer to image, and I'm going to give it an image because it can sometimes read images quite well, I've kind of found. Yes, yes, yes. I'm glad I clarified that because now it's still doing this. It's not taking ring distance into account to change the position logic, but I think I already have this function. Definitely already have this function, which is good. Okay, so get hex ring world position. I'm going to start writing it. Let's get going. BPFO underscore bound. I'm going to make a new one of these. So this is just get hex ring positions. And the inputs are an in position and ring distance. And apparently hex radius. Which is a float. So we'll see how that goes. Literally delete everything else. Okay. In position. Ring distance. Hex radius. Cool. Save everything real quick. All right. So if ring distance is less than 1, return an array of positions, should just be a vector 2D, make this position. So yeah, give me the positions around this position. It's basically just going to give us not even a snapped position, which is terrible. So what I could do is I could be like, that's that. How does hex radius relate to hex size? 2? Because in one function we have hex size. We should probably have just used radius the whole time, because now I'm converting between radius and hex size. I need to convert the earlier snap to hex grid to use only radius. So we're going to have to fix this first, because now I don't have a nice foundational set. It's changing all the math now, which worries me, because I have it working and I'm now about to potentially have to break it all. So it's going to be fun. Okay, here we go. Hex radius here, in position like so. It's actually moving all this logic around like this. So we have the math square root of 3 divided by 3 multiplied by x minus this. Going to annoy me so much if this is going to break it entirely. The fact that it's rotating all of the functions is just so weird. Out y is now x radius multiplied by 1.5 by the rounded z instead. Yeah, I'm going to have to ignore flat top just for a second. The BP town, I'm going to rehook tick. What I'm going to do, this controls Z, all that. With the expectation that it's about to tell me that that was actually fine. Seems to be adamant that this was correct. What happens if I do this? I'm going to just write the other side of this. Hope that that resolves some things. All the maths. All the maths today. I just want to do the juicy stuff. Need good hex logic because I chose to do a hex-based game. What's that? Does the... It doesn't matter which way around this happens. Yeah, it's literally got the math like flipped. But the good thing is, despite it being a little bit weird on the GPT side, this is pointy top and this is flat top now. Like it's just swapped it around for whatever reason. But all the radius stuff is in there, which is good. I'm just gonna basically swap these over. Okay. Our get ring hex positions now. We actually have straight up hex radius, which means I can say we actually don't know if it's a flat top or not, which is no good. And now I need to ask it to give me the logic we were building earlier. Okay. Oh, okay. Branch. We have not flat top. I would personally refer to as pointy top. So starting off with, if not flat top, it's starting with a negative statement, which I hate. Not a fan of that. Let's get some results. Let's get some results here. We need. Oh well, we have a lot of these variables already because we duplicated it from somewhere else. So we're just going to make Q. Oh man, this is just taking ages. This just takes ages. Math, 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 math. Hex, 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 hex. Where are we at right now? Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's something, right? Let's keep going. Q. What is it? 2 divided by 3. Center world position X divided by hex radius. Cool. This -1 divided by 3 multiplied by center world position X plus square root of 3 divided by 3 multiplied by, I think. Then we've got our cube round. We have in here Pretty sure it's the same. It's Q minus R. No. Just realized um, that code is doing what I've already done. I will say that this is cleaner than the code it made me make here. I'm partial to the concept of cleaning this up because I respect this project, I guess. Yeah, man, it's there, but it's working. It is working. So there, I have to keep going back and checking it every now and then just to make sure it hasn't like broken in the meantime. Yeah, so the only thing that is saving is I'd have to break back out again anyway, so let's not worry about it. Go to sleep. Yeah, have a good one, mate. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Good luck to me. Let's go. I got this. I got this. I'm gonna be up for another 2.5 hours doing it. So that shouldn't need this. I might need that. Um, So we're just doing code right now. Like, don't know why I'm doing it on the other screen. TRA effector get ring positions, flow hex radius. I guess this is literally vibe coding. I am doing that. Get hex ring world positions. New space cube 3D for the get hex ring world positions. Get hex ring positions. Center world, center cube. We are using center cube here. Let's call this L cube. And we have directions. Step 3, move to the start of the ring. That makes no sense. I see. Okay. Let's see what it's doing now. It's it steps in order to do this by what I'm trying to get it to give me is essentially this outer ring here. Apparently I did the outer ring wrong in my demo of that, but that is what I'm looking essentially to get, is like the outside ring. And so in order to do it, it goes 2 out and then it does a circle by going in the direction by a number of steps all the way around, and then it returns all of that. So that actually, now that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me now. I get it. Okay. So we don't really need this. Start cube is the center cube plus get 4 multiplied by ring distance. That to a local variable L start cube. And then walk around the ring in 6 directions. So hang on. It never uses start cube again. It's just made an extra variable for no reason. I don't need this extra variable. We'll just call this L current cube. We start with current cube, and then we're going to for loop, I think, through the directions. For directions in 0 to 5. Yeah, sure. That is a for each loop because there's 6 elements. And then for step 0 to ring distance -1. Okay. So that is a loop. -1. Cool. Okay. And then we've got world. Just world. Result dot add world. Oh, right. Yeah. Because the result is an array, right? So now we're cooking. L result. So here we're going to add a result. And the result from this is cube to world, current cube, hex radius, B flat top. So I think I've got to take this logic here. Pretty much all this logic, except for maybe the output here, and turn this into cube to world. We take cube, which is a vector. We take a hex radius, which is a float. and we take laptop. Okay. Not too bad. Not too bad. So now we have a cleaned up function. We can get rid of some of this. World equals cube to world of the current cube, the hex radius, laptop. Okay. Cool. And then current cube plus direction basically like step, 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 right? So then if I go into my towel, losing my voice, right mouse button, get world location, get actor location. get hex ring positions at ring 1. And then just draw a debug point at that location. That should be fine. Size 5, duration 1. It would be really smart of me if I returned the variable at the end of the function. That would be really smart to do. Yay. All right. Debug. The issue now is I'm not using the right game state. So let's go do that. GM game state Islebound. Cool. Place terrain. I'm gonna have a break. Oh no, I'm not. I'm gonna do the shiny bit and then I'll have a break. So the shiny bit now that all of that code is finally working is that we have the ability to get a ring position anywhere we really want. Though it turns out that maybe the second ring doesn't work very well. Oh, okay. Um, oh my god. Yeah, okay, that's better. Thank you. That was the stupidest code fumble. Like I only ever worked if the index was one, because one minus one is zero and zero loop to zero is one loop. If I put it to anything else, it starts beyond the last index and then does nothing. uh, so yeah, I had my last index as my first index. That is very convenient. But I'm fast at debugging, so we're good. What's the codes going? Right, yeah. So now you can see we can get a hex. You can get the hex positions where we needed them in that scenario as well. And so the point of all this was that now that we have all those positions, I can this isn't the best way, but it certainly is a way to do this. Make transform. We do this. I'm going to create these at ring 1, and then we'll do it again at ring 2 just to evidence the idea. This is going to be pointy top, and we're just going to do it a second time after I click the second time, just for ring 2, right? So if I play and click, I get my first ring of what will eventually be ghosts, and then I click again, I get my second ring. So that's cool. And I could even write that for a little bit of fun here real quick, is like, instead of this, it's ring distance, and then each time I do it, ring distance just goes up. So we get a cool thing now. Very cool. Happy days. That's pretty cool. Right, Bernardo? It's pretty cool, right? Check this out. Bam. Bam. Oh no, he went to bed. Damn it. Well, I'm sure Rewinds is lurking somewhere. Or my wife. So she can probably see that. Wife is seen to be a VTuber. So, aside from animations, which I will do soon, I say soon. I'll be doing them after the core loop is done. I'm not doing any polishy animations until the core loop is done. But one of the ideas here is that I'm supposed to set the material. And I have an art for that. Okay. So these are our options. I might just start with them, though. It seems cooler to have this as like, these are the clouds around your town. There's a little man in the middle. And when you hover these, it highlights and then you click. And then you get an option of what tiles you want. And then I guess rather than dragging them into the world, you literally just click the one you want. It's going to go on that tile. Then this one glows orange. Now what you've learned is through exploration, you've hovered over this tile, it's turned orange. This one turns orange. You're like, I get to pick a tile. Okay. Click. From here on out, hovering them does nothing. You've assigned your first loop start point. Then then you'll get your options. You'll click the one you want, and I'll probably like fly over, and it will click down. Which makes the game really quick, right? Because you're literally sat there going like click, click, click. There is going to be a moment where I do have to drag though, because placing the buildings down is a drag action, so it might be nicer to drag them into the scene. I'll think about it. I'm going to go have a quick break and I'll think about it. But I'm going to leave the view right here. I'll do actually is disconnect that and reconnect this. Say that. Yeah, cool. I'm gonna be right back. Actually, well, technically the start tile and the ghosts aren't finished. Be right back. Hello, I'm back. So, been thinking. I did not get myself a drink, which was dumb. May have to request a drink. Okay. So, one thing I was wondering was if, for example, the world starts like this, and you've got this first tile, and when you click it, this kind of this is acting now as a fog of war. It's this fog that you clear by building an aisle here. It's actually hurting my eyes right now. So the other option that I thought about, which I'll quickly give a go, is if I export this. Photoshop, I will open that. Basically presume that this doesn't tile. Yeah, it doesn't. Trying to maybe create a tiling texture real quick. It just becomes a jumbled mess of clouds. So yeah, it's not great. Well, I could. Okay, so that's not great. This hurts my eyes. Like, I will say that. So yeah, clicking it creates your first set of clouds, and it's like you have initialized a journey. I want to have a little guy here that's going to be adventuring around. He's going to be traveling to the tiles, essentially. And then this will happen on the second round. So yeah, thank you. Let's got to get started on choosing how the interaction of the cards on the left are going to work. Select tile to start loop. So I was thinking you might hover your mouse over these, and depending on which one you're hovering on, there's some behavior behind it. Essentially means we need a new blueprint, BP underscore terrain, because they will now have some kind of behavior. File reparent to static mesh actor. Get rid of the hex. Just put 20 in here. So you get these clouds, cool. Now I can go to this terrain, just make sure it's not ticking, and event mouse over. Make it basically glow. Tint. I think in my player controller, I need to enable over events. This is actually a bad idea because you can't do this on mobile. So I need to maybe not do that. It kind of makes me want to change the orientation a little, because then I could say this would be the top and it would be always the first one selected. Your tiles would come out and you would just tap through and it would click, 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 click. And then this would be your next one. Click, 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 click. Yeah. Game design. Game design decisions. So many decisions having to be made over and over. What time is it right now? We've got an hour and a half, so we're not too bad. I can't mouse over on mobile, so I don't want to do mouse over events, essentially. I do want to
bring out the tiles from the hand that you're gonna get given. If I was to say that we're actually doing flat top here, won't worry about it. What I kind of want to do, I'm spawning a bunch of these. I wanted to. What I wonder is in that function for ring positions, which direction do we start? We're about to find out. So let's say if this is equal to 0. The idea is going to be that this pops first, then this, and this. Maybe get that actually started. I'm going to set the active location to be essentially down by 20 units. And then start this animation, which moves. I'm going to promote this to a variable as desired location. And we will essentially lerp over this alpha. Save this again here as start location. go between these two. After it's done, it will become static, so that's fine. What we can do as well is provide these with a delay. I'm basically doing this so I can think about how I want it to start up as a game. Even though I had a design doc, I've kind of hit these design roadblocks, which just goes to show you can't think of everything in the design stage. By having what I thought was a pretty locked in design, what I've realized is you click this tile and I say like, oh yeah, cool, there's gonna be all these tiles, and you pick a start location by essentially dragging one of these down onto the tile, and then this glows so you know where to put the next one, and then like that moves around so you know where to place next. But what I've kind of been thinking about is after dragging and dropping these 100 times, am I gonna get like really bored of it? And that's something that can come out in testing, I guess. I need to get there first to have someone play it to test that thought, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, I can put a delay in here that is essentially an index that's exposed on spawn. Put that delay here. Um, Town. Don't debug this. I want to. Well, firstly, plug the index in here. Secondly, bring the floor up. Thirdly, go back into the train. Maybe change this to 20. And then this delay becomes the index multiplied by a float of like 0.2. And so the higher the index, the more delayed this is, which means you end up with a circle of appearance. Two. Essentially the start position for this traveler, but it's actually the wrong position, which isn't good. This looks pretty cool. I'm gonna go and check out what happens if I go perspective with this. Pit cat. It's not great, I'll tell you that much. It's pretty cool in perspective, I suppose. This is sick. So this is the idle cost. Of all this. And I've got like more tiles than you'll ever have. And if I click once, we are animating a number of tiles around the outside. We can't see them right now, but they are animating. Obviously, I can ramp that up by doing something silly like this, which won't happen in the game because I'll only ever be running this once. So that I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. That's pretty cool, man. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, so we have this little. It's not immediate though. That's nice. I'm going to change the order of the array in here. So this. And then in my town, I just use 0 on here. That's cool. Okay, so we have that part. Awesome. What I need to do is cache these as a variable. Promote to variable ring terrains. Might need to make this into a struct. Because I want to have an editable number of rings in the future. And I don't want it to be a pain when I do that. So what I can do is to blueprints, make a struct f underscore ring, terrain ring. And in here, it's a terrain. What is tiles? array of those, and then in our town, rings. They are terrain rings, and it's an array of those. And then I add what I'm going to do is collapse this to a variable. Collapse to function create ring. When this is complete, we will add local variable L tiles to here. And each time we create a tile, we'll just add it to this list. Cool. And now I have a reference to all my tiles in rings. So ideally I press play. I end up getting a pointer to these tiles in here, which is handy. And then when I click it, well, again, it's not going to work. So select a tile to start the loop. That's not really going to happen now because the tile's automatically selected for you. I really did like the idea of selecting the tile. In which case, it would look like this. And then you would tap a tile. The act of tapping a tile will bring out the panel and change its color. Let's just go with it. Let's go with it. I keep coming back to this idea, so we're going down that route. It does also mean that the number of states that we have has changed, which I am just going to go and clean up. Game loop, new town, and then you have like select ring start, essentially. So in our town here, when we click, we go to select ring start. What I've realized is I could click on this actor again when I'm actually in play structure state, and I could come back to select ring state, so this isn't going to work. What we need to do is say essentially if this is equal to new town or it's more than game loop, or it's game loop plus 1. It can only move forward by 1 is currently the logic that I'm putting in place. If this is a new town or it's the next stage in the loop, then I'm happy for it to go forward. And then this can just be new. What's it called? Game loop. That's dumb. This needs to be called new. New. Because otherwise what you end up with is accidentally referencing what you thought is this variable from the properties, when really you are accessing the in variable. Sometimes I use new, sometimes I use the prefix in. It really depends. It is getting late, so I do need to start being a bit more quiet. I'm going to bring this microphone over. All right, so where are we at here? Play, click, get our first tiles. Then we're going to click on a terrain. I'm going to come over here like this to just get rid of a bunch of stuff that I don't want right now. Okay, so we have our town and we have our terrain. When you click on the terrain, we're going to try and set the game loop. At least I guess in this case. Yeah, that's fine. We'll set the game loop to place terrain. And so you can click any other tile, but like you're never going to go to place terrain. Like, yeah. I will come back in here and take a look at create ring. Hey, Anime Finder, nice to see you. Welcome to the stream. It's quite a late night one today. I'm doing a games jam. I'm actually hiding at the bottom of my chair as I sink into oblivion, as I've done this for about 8 hours today. I will be going to bed in a little bit, but right now we're just adding some game loop concepts in. For the games jam. The theme is loop. That's pretty cool. This is now our first tile, which means we can create our tile list that we're going to have that's going to listen to the game state changing to place tiles. So let's go make that. Blueprint class BP underscore terrain hand. We'll have a function in here called create hand. It's always going to create 6 items. So for loop from here to 5 items. I guess I could promote this to a variable. This. And then what we do from here is we spawn actors from class. These need to essentially be stuck to the left-hand side of your screen. Kind of just randomly aligned to the left side of your screen, like a bunch of little tiles. We've got this bit. We're still on this stage actually, and then we're going to get this tile loop done at least in the next like 15-20 minutes, and then we might get onto our buildings, and then we might get onto our second loop. What I would like to do is get all the way, to like here, but we're still on the second slide. So we had a bad time earlier today with hex grid math. And I'm just having a consistently bad time being like, oh, you know what, it might feel better this way. But we're going with one way. Make it exist. Create a hand. I'm going to make a number of terrain. The trick is to determine where that terrain is going to exist. Because it's somewhat going to be get player pawn. It's going to be based on screen position, basically. So we could just, for now, let's just get it to work. So we're going to deproject the screen to world. Get owning, get player controller. What I'm essentially doing is creating a position for these to exist in. It was cool. Made me think of an old game I played. Yeah. If you ever find the name, let me know. If it's Dorfromantik, yeah, I haven't played it, but when I was doing my research for the jam, I was like, oh, great, this game already exists. But I have some differences, so I'm okay with it. Make a plane from a point. Yes, it's going to be get player pawn, get actor location. It's going to be here, and the normal is just going to be up. And this is going to be where I spawn it. And I'm going to add some Y map range clamped, I suppose. Actually, sorry, I'm going to add some X. I'm going to take this value from 0 to 5, and I'm going to turn it into like minus 500 to 500 and see how that feels. PP terrain here. Get actor of class. Terrain hand. Create hand. And we're going to make 6 tiles. So we just need to make sure that we have that terrain hand in the map. And so obviously that's way off to the left. And because we're no longer orthographic, it doesn't work very well either. It's also really tall. It'd be nicer if these were grid shaped. Yeah. And if I go back into orthographic, I bet this looks a little bit better. Yeah, I might stick it to orthographic. Oh man, I should have gone flat tiles. Because this would have looked really neat with flat tiles. They just don't line up right now. Maybe similar to my circle position logic, I need to come up with like, I don't know, a row height logic. Let's been using GPT to do a lot of the heavy lifting on the. I'm doing all the heavy lifting on the function library that I'm building that does the hex grid work. And so let's see if it's going to do us a good one here. So get hex grid positions. Get hex grid row positions, I suppose. And so our inputs, we have two main inputs, which is our rows and columns. We have the hex radius. And flat top. Interestingly, it doesn't use a world position as an origin. But maybe it's just going to make essentially relative locations, so that might be fine. So we're going to loop the rows and columns, basically. And we'll create positions using our library that we've been creating. Um, positions, and then we will store that as an array. And we will return that array. That array is going to be our output grid positions. That will be returned at the end of the for loop. Not the nested one, because that will return too early. Okay. So in the flat top here, U equals col and R equals rho minus col divided by 2. Otherwise, if we're not a flat top and we're doing it in a different orientation, then Q equals col minus divided by 2, and R just equals sorry, wait a second. Keeps doing these double negatives. If not flat top. If is not flat top, then is pointy top. So just do is, if is flat top, do that, then otherwise do this. Not like, if not is, if it isn't this, then we should do that thing. It's just such a dumb code. Okay. Keep your statements positive, guys. Keep your branches positive. Now I've got to relook at this all. If not B flat top, then Q equals col. I'm literally going to put K-pop Demon Hunters music on in the background. You guys can't hear it, but it is literally on in the back of my head because I've been watching it with my kid like 4 days in a row. So we're going to go original soundtrack. It's going to have so many adverts. Oh man, just adverts galore. Yeah, I can't avoid them. All right. The songs don't sound that good as the film for some reason. Okay. If it's not flat top, this one, Q is... What have I just done? If it's not flat top, Q equals col, cool, and R equals rho minus col divided by 2, cool. Otherwise, else, if it is flat top, which is this top one, look at this. That's gone. Great. If, well, this one's the right way around. It's this one that annoys me. Okay, if it is flat top, it's col minus rho divided by 2. Col minus rho divided by 2. Col, and R is just rho. And then you get your positions. Okay, let's try it. Oh, this break. All right, where are we at? We have we have a position where we're going to create this, which is this intersection that we're going to snap to the hex grid. That's going to be our start location. We're going to row hex, get row hex positions. We have this size here. I'm just going to divide it by 2. Say I've got 2 columns, and that's the number that's going in. Hex radius, I mean, it's 50. I know this. It's not flat top, which we'll see if that actually does what it says. It's always the wrong way around. Then we go through each of these positions. This is a world position. So it should be fine. did create 6 positions. Can't blame it there. It created them over here. It did them in the wrong direction. Just several things messed up there. I wanted 2 columns and 3 rows downwards. How can you mess that up? Getting inundated by adverts right now. Sorry, I just got distracted. I'm just like, oh, right. Again, yeah. It's done it the wrong way around again. Just double check that I'm not going mad. In my terrain hand, I am doing 2 columns and 3 rows. Yeah. Wrath Unleashed for PS2 was a Trun-based game. Trun? What is Trun? Wrath Unleashed. Oh damn, yeah. That is old school. Oh, that's cool, man. That is really cool. Yeah, these people coded this on like absolute potato machines, and nowadays we just throw everything at everything. We throw all of the polygons and all of the processing. No one cares anymore. I see a lot of posts about that. Yeah, it's madness. What our ancestral game devs have achieved. they must sit there and watch a guy who made like paddle paddle, where you like row a boat down a river, and the people who like pioneered the game industry or software development in general are sat there like looking for work, or whatever situation they're in, looking at someone making millions on a paddle boat rage game, and they must. I can't imagine how that feels. From it depends on your personality, right? But for me, I'd be like, oh, okay, I've changed my mind. I'm listening to Has-Been Hotel soundtrack. That's my new change. I've changed to that now. Video game technology has evolved a lot. These days, people want real life quality video game while I get one fun mechanic. Yeah, pretty much. My engine just crashed. No. I am using 5.4 because the asset packs work in 5.4 for this project. But usually I use 5.6, yeah. If these were even rotated, they wouldn't be in the right position. I think it misunderstood me. Obviously, it seems to crash a lot. Yeah, no, it's not just you. It happens to me a lot as well. More than other recent releases. Um, but it's progress, you could say. I would. It's something. Just ignore what GPT tells me. It's like it's taking the piss at this point. Working with ChatGPT is like my least favorite thing. Like the fact that it exists is partially annoying me. It I've seen these things where it's like you're actually slower. In this case, hex grid logic is apparently really complex. Yeah, I happen to have done it like 10 years ago at university. This is ridiculous. No, it's not going well. Time is it now? Yeah, past midnight. Yeah, good call. I'm just going to call it, I think. Okie dokie. That's it for tonight. Tomorrow we're going to make sure I'm actually on camera. Hello. Vibe coding sucks. In this scenario, at least, it works with HLSL, it works with other things. In this case, I just can't solve the problem. So I'm going to take other creative solutions. And I will be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m.